Hello, good evening, and welcome to PM Express. In tonight's edition, we are talking about the impending by-election in Asin North, but this time from the perspective of the referee, the Electoral Commission. As you may well know by now, the Electoral Commission has come in for some criticism from the NDC, alleging all manner of conspiracies between themselves and the governing New Patriotic Party. But there are also bigger issues that the recent Supreme Court judgment on the Jachikwesin case has thrown up that we want to get the EC's perspective on. Are we going to see some reforms on the back of that particular judgment going into the 2024 elections next year? With me tonight to discuss all this and more is the EC's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Siribo Kweku. Dr. Kweku, thanks for your time here on PM Express.
Thank you, my brother.
Great to have you joining us. In the last 2 months, you've had a glut of by-elections. I know you've been in the commission for more than 30 years. Have you seen by-elections?
28.
28, okay, so I mean close to 30 years. Have you seen by-elections come this quickly, back to back, from one month to the next?
So far, I think we have had around 30 by-elections since '92. But I don't remember having one just after the other, less than 1 month. I don't remember that. But we have been holding by-elections. I think there was a year we had about 4 So it's not new. Probably this one, they are so close to
the proximity to each other. We saw the Kumu by-elections, and then we are going to see the Asin North by-elections. Asin North by-elections is on the 27th of June. Is the EC ready for it?
I would say that, but for the ballot papers, we can do it tomorrow. Meaning that all the materials that we need for the by-election are ready, with the exception of ballot papers, because we are yet to have the nomination. And we are having the nomination on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. The one we finish with the nomination, then we'll do the necessary vetting and whatever we have to do, then we'll do the printing. So we are hoping that in a week to the 27th, we should be ready. But in terms of materials, we are set for the by-election.
I'm curious, when the Electoral Commission is budgeting for every year, it goes to Parliament, and as always your budget is subject for controversy. Do you plan for contingencies such as this? And I wonder how you're able to deal with the logistical constraints, the budget constraints that come when a by-election that you possibly didn't plan for the next year crops up, 2 now in a row.
The advantage is that most of our materials are capital goods. The BVDs and whatever, they are capital goods. So you are not going to buy BVDs. The register is already there. You are not going to compare new register. So it is basically the ballot papers that are consumables. All other materials are reusable ones. So we are not using new materials. But whenever we draw a budget, we make room for a number of by-elections. I think I don't want to put a figure there because somebody may give impression that we are praying for more by-elections, but we normally make provision for by-elections in our budget.
So you anticipate the possibility of a by-election in that particular budget?
Exactly so. I think the last parliament, we didn't have any by-election, but every year we were budgeting for a by-election.
One by-election a year, you budget for 2 or 3?
That's why I don't want to put the figure down because people have different interpretation. People normally associate by-election with death. So if you put the figure there, so you were expecting people to, but we normally make room for by-elections.
And so you're adequately prepared. And this question is relevant also because of where we are as a country. The economy is challenged. So that question comes up very strongly. You also later this year will have the district level elections.
Exactly
so all would have to come within your budget. It raises the question
and
whether you are
we prepared our budget for that. So
that you anticipated, that was clear that it was going to happen.
After this level election, there's no way we can avoid it. Yeah. Because the law is clear that we should hold it not less than 12 months away from the general election. So automatically we'll have it. But the by-elections, as I said, we made provision for a number of by-elections and we are having 2 this year. The previous years we were not having. So it's something that we normally plan for by-elections.
Let's talk about Asin North. Are you in cahoots with the MPP to break the law?
You see, some of the questions are very difficult to answer. Difficult to answer in the sense that since '92, I believe the political parties should appreciate the integrity of in the system. The political parties should know how the Electoral Commission works. But unfortunately, when they are in power, they are in cahoots. But when they are in opposition, the Electoral Commission is against them. But you and I will know that there's no way Electoral Commission can add even one vote or can change a losing candidate to become a winning candidate. So some of these allegations, maybe they are propaganda tools, but I don't think anybody. I've been saying that you can make former President Mahama the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, or you can make President Akufo-Addo the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and you can't do anything. There's no way. Because basically, they are the last people who will see the results. They are the last people to see the results.
But what you're suggesting is actually one that at least will create perception challenges.
Yes,
you're saying that the Electoral Commission chairperson, even if the person is John Mahama, cannot rig or change the numbers?
So after perception, you can't change it in the sense that if the person decides that I don't trust you, it will be difficult for you to change that. And my grandmother, my late grandmother used to say that when somebody is pretending to be asleep, you can never wake the person up, right? So if the person decides that I don't trust you, no matter what you do, I don't trust you. But if somebody wants to be fair to the system and the person goes through the processes, because starting from registration to nomination to print of ballot papers to the voting day itself to the counting to the declaration, they are with us. The recent one that we did, the Kumewu one, I met the candidate representatives here. We discussed the way we were going to do the printing. Even putting somebody in a position is balloted. So we don't decide that you should be the first or the second or the third. It's balloted. So when it's balloted, then your position on the ballot will be determined. When you get that, we meet all of you. Then we tell you that we are doing the printing at this printing house. We will be there from this date, time to this date and time. We will be there. The candidate agents will be there. The National Security will be there. The Ghana Police Service will be there. So we will, if it has to take 1 month, if it has for basically the general elections, but this one it took about 3 days for the printing. We were there to print day and night, and we were going in shift, so that when it is 6 o'clock, another team will come and when we finish the printing, we have the serial numbers. So everybody who is there knew that the ballot papers that are going to Kumewu will start from this serial number and end at this serial number. We package them. When we are sending them to Kumewu, they escorted us with the police and the rest. We took them to Kumewu. We lodged them at the police depot. The parties have put their seals on them. Some even wanted to lock the whole police station. I said that was not possible. You cannot say that because of your ballot paper, they cannot have access to your offices. So we went there. When we were doing the distribution, packaging them for the various polling stations, they are all packaged in the presence of the parties. They take the serial numbers. This police station, we have to send 500 to the place. For the 500, we start from this number to that number. We did all these things. The day on that we are sending them to the various polling stations, we go with you. And before we start the ballot voting, there's a portion on the statement of the poll that describes the ballot papers in terms of the serial arrangement. How many ballot papers are coming here? What is the first serial number and what is the end serial number? We do all these things. Then we also talk about the number of people who are so qualified to vote in terms of the various registers. You record all these things. When we finish the voting, then we do the accounting. You have not opened the box. The number of ballot papers that was brought here, how many were given out? You indicate. How many were discharged, but they were spoiled? Spoiled means that they could not be used. We indicate it. How many are the unused ballot papers? So when you put the discharged, that is the spoiled, plus the unused, plus the number of people who voted, should be equal to the first piece where you talk about the number of ballot papers that were assigned to the centers. So when you do that, you will now know how many ballot papers are you expecting from the box because of the data accounting. Then you open the box. When you open, you saw them in terms of the candidates plus the rejected ballot. then when you finish, the valid votes plus the rejected ballot should be equal to the number of ballots that you indicated before you open the box. So you do all these things. Counting is done openly. If you do the counting and you realize that the person was so fast or some reasons you think it was not counted to your satisfaction, you request for it.
So your argument is that it's impossible to rig elections in Ghana.
At all.
But the specific allegation against you, as altered by the National Communications Officer of the NDC, is that in the Asin North by-election, you were conspiring with the MPP to illegally transfer the vote of an aspiring parliamentary candidate for the MPP. Is that something that you've done?
But the question, I will also, okay, I don't want to ask you a question because you may not even understand it. But the issue is that for transfers, you have to apply. Since 2020, we have not even activated the icon on the transfer vote. So no vote has been transferred since we finished the 2020 elections. But if you want to apply for transfer, you apply. No, we have received some applications, right? But no, to the best of my knowledge, nobody has applied for even transfer to Asin North. Nobody.
The applications you received, did they include one Charles Opoku?
That's what I said. We have not received that.
But you've received some applications?
Oh, yes. I think we have about 7 or so, but not to Asin North. And to the best of my knowledge, we have never transferred votes for by-elections. Because the law is that the application should be done not less than 42 days to election. And this type of elections, 30 days to election. So clearly it cuts off any form of qualification.
So never in the history of by-election in this country, I mean, at least since the promulgation of that act, have you done the transfer?
It has never happened before, at all. So the question is, if we are being accused of being in bed with somebody to do the insertion, then the first point is that whoever, the one who is accusing, has he seen the application for transfer? That's the first thing. Because you need to apply before you are done. Has he seen that? And the other point is that the moment you do the transfer, the person's name will appear in the register. We are giving them the registers. So have they seen the name in the register? Because that's the transparency aspect I was talking about.
The allegation was that this was something that was in the process of happening.
So how did they detect it? Because as I was saying, you should either apply or you should have seen the commission activating the icon on the transfers, which has since 2000, it has not been activated. So I don't know how this thing. So if it is true that what we are saying, then I think the best thing should have, they should have kept quiet for it to reflect, and you ask for the register.
But there's also a case for preemption.
No, but if you want to make your point clear, and if you have the grounds, because that's the only way you can prove. Right now, we are saying that they should come with the evidence. What is the evidence?
So you've asked the NDC to come with the evidence that this is happening?
Yes, because the fact that there should be an application, that you see that somebody is working on, we have given them the registers. So all these things are there.
The parties have the register now for Asin North.
Yes.
Ahead of, you gave them specifically ahead of Asin North.
I will give them this one just today.
So you gave them the register. Did they request for it? Or
yes, you have to apply. If you have not applied, you will not give
So the NDC has applied and you have given them?
Today.
Okay. When did they apply?
I can't be sure, but I don't think it's more than 1 week.
Okay, but this allegation was made this week. I'm just trying to check whether the application came after the allegation or before.
The application will normally go to the chairperson. Then he will order the IT people to work on that. Okay. But when they finish, it will be, in most cases, they'll bring to me. So it came to my office, and I gave it to my deputy to be given to you.
Okay, so the NDC have the register.
Yes.
And you are...
It was the director for election, Amate, who came for it.
Say that again?
It was the director for elections, Mr. Amate, who came for it. Yes.
And you are being categorical that when they examine that register, they don't find any Charles Opoku's name in it?
No. No, but the point is, the fact is that the man is qualified to contest. So why would I steal my own thing?
But how do you know he's qualified to contest? He's not.
The constitution is so clear.
Yeah, but he's now contesting a primary for the MPP.
No, if you don't qualify to contest for the main one, you can't contest the primary.
What are you doing that at the vetting the party's internal vetting, they would have applied the constitutional provisions as you're assuming, and they would have cleared him based on the constitutional provisions and the vetting.
No, what I know is that, once you make allegation, we also need to do the cross-check. So I know that he's a registered voter outside Asindorf. And I also know that his name is not on the register that we are going to use for the election. Right? And I've also heard that he hails from the Asindorf. So unless any other legal issue that I don't know. But in terms of hailing, which is a requirement for contest, and once he's also a registered voter, then the other things will be payment of taxes and no other things. That one is between him and...
But the NDC actually also challenged that their argument is that this individual hasn't got a vote in Asindorf specifically, and that should disqualify him. They actually cite the nomination forms that the aspirants, the candidates fail to buttress this point.
If you wouldn't mind,
and also CI 127.
If you wouldn't mind, I want you to read.
Yes, let's do that.
Yes, so read Article 94 for me, and for just 1 and 2.
And Article 94, 1 and 2 is a constitutional provision that talks about the requirements for being a member of parliament. And it says that subject to the provision of this article, a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament unless A, he is a citizen of Ghana and has attained the age of 21 years and is registered voter. He is resident in the constituency for which he stands as a candidate for election to parliament. He has paid parliament or has resided there for a total period of not less than 5 years out of 10 years immediately preceding the election for which he stands, or he hails from that constituency and he has paid all his taxes and made arrangements satisfactory to the appropriate authority for the payment of his taxes. And then you said 2, which is the relevant part. A person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament if he owes allegiance to another country. We'll talk about that because that's another subject matter, or has been adjudged or otherwise declared and to be unsound. So this is a detailed, which one are you want to refer to?
I'm referring to the person being a Ghanaian, being not less than 21 years, and being a registered voter.
He is a citizen of Ghana, has attained the age of 21 years, and is a registered voter.
So that clause is a registered voter. Would that linking it to a constituency?
Is he a registered voter, this individual?
That's exactly so. So that clause doesn't link it to any constituency, right? It did not say that it should be a registered voter in the constituency you want to contest. But if you look at the B portion, they say that the first requirement would that it should be a Ghanaian. It should be at least 21 years, and it should be a registered voter. It's an open statement that it should be a registered voter. We have approximately 38,622. So mean that if you are registered in any of these number, almost the 39,000, you are a registered voter, right? Then the B portion is saying that in addition to being a Ghanaian, a registered voter, and being 21 years, if you want to contest in the constituency, then so whether you are linked to the constituency, it's by residence or hail. I hope that you also see. So it has not. This is the constitutional. So it has nothing to do with you being a reserve voter in the constituency.
But you have CI 127.
Yes.
Which spells out what the form that you fill.
So you have the, don't worry. You have the form.
Yes.
Now that you are my reader, I want you to.
No, I mean, I would like you to read. I mean, this is your document.
Oh, but
that has come up.
If I am reading,
yeah,
it means that I am maybe choosing the West. But that for now you are.
So,
the independent
so what
person.
document is this?
This is the nomination form, which is generated from the CR 127. So if you look at it, this is so it goes to the.
Okay.
If you can read the heading.
Okay, so this actually bears a name.
Yes.
And this name there is Kwesi Amankwa. Kwesi Amankwa is the NDC's
Kumawu
candidate for the by-election that he held last month. So part 1 says, and
I wanted you to read the heading where you can see the
representation. Yeah, representation of the people law 1992, PNDC law 284, amended, and public election regulations 2020. That's CI 127.
Correct.
And CI 127.
And let me say that CI 127 is the one that governs general elections in Ghana.
In Ghana, yes. And that it is in that particular CI that you see a sample
Exactly.
of the nomination form.
And this is a nomination form.
Parliament nomination form. Part 1, we the undersigned registered voters in Kumewu.
Yes. Underline, registered voters
in Kumewu constituency do hereby nominate Kwesi Amankwa of the same constituency, to stand for election as a member of parliament, and we hereby certify that to the best of our knowledge, he or she is qualified to be elected as such.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, I'll ask, and then I'm pretty sure you can provide an answer.
From what we have read, in terms of we the registered voters, is it linked to those who are sponsoring the candidate or the candidate?
Well, what's the EC's interpretation of that?
Our interpretation is that it's like we the students of, let's say, Evans Technical School, do support our lecturer Evans Mensah of the same institution. So the same institution is there, but clearly it does not say that the one we are supporting is also a student. Do you get my point, my statement?
So there's a distinction between the origin of the students,
exactly,
and the origin
of the person they are supporting.
And
that is exactly.
So your interpretation is that as far as those who endorse the forms for the aspiring candidates concerned, their origin they must hail from.
No, they
must be registered.
Correct.
They must be registered.
And that is, if you can read again for the benefit of our.
So that is your interpretation.
If you can
and
read
where
again.
it says we undersign registered voters. So you said undersigned registered voters are those. But the
undersigned voters who do what?
In Kumewu, constituency hereby nominated, and they mention his name.
So those who are doing the nomination are those the statement is referring to as registered voters. Is that not the case?
But that's your interpretation.
But what do you understand?
The NDC disagrees.
No, but what is your own understanding?
Well, my understanding at this point is what the EC says, but I want to take a quick break here because when we return, the NDC interprets this differently. I'll put that to Dr. Sribo Kwaku for his response. And trust me, we also get to look at the preparations towards the by-elections. Proper by-elections in this country tend to be very violent and very active. Is the EC truly ready, especially their relationship with the police and the security agencies, for a constituency like Asin North, which is always keenly contested? It's one of those constituencies that is very hard to predict. If you look at its history since at least 2012, when it stood by itself after the Asin Central was carved out of it. The NDC won it that year, the MPP won it in 2016, and the NDC won it again in 2020. So that is a very interesting seat indeed, where in fact in the last elections they voted skirt and blouse, voted for the president of the MPP presidential candidate then, that's Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, but then they voted for the parliamentary candidate of the NDC. So that is a very interesting dynamic. It has the hallmarks of a constituency that will throw up a very keen contest, and the EC may be caught up in it. We'll talk about that. Stay with me. And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. My name is Evans Mensah, and I'm here with Dr. Sribo Kwaku, who is the Director of Electoral Services here at the Electoral Commission. And we're building up to the Asin North by-election. There are many, many issues indeed that had come up and accusations against the Electoral Commission. Just before the break, we're talking about the NDC's accusation that the EC is conspiring with the governing New Patriotic Party to illegally transfer the vote of one individual who wants to contest on the ticket of the MPP in the Asin North constituency. Dr. Kwaku, so you had maintained that when the nomination form extracted from CI 127 says we the undersigned registered in Kumewu constituency hereby nominate an individual, yes, those undersigned should have been registered in the constituency, but that doesn't apply to the candidate they are nominating. That's your argument.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
So, because to us, if the registered voter is to apply to the candidate, it would have been stated there that they do nominate Evans Mensah as a candidate who is also a registered voter in the constituency. Moreover, even if that is done, that will contradict the constitution. But the constitution says the person should be a registered voter.
Dr. Siribokwaku, the NDC has a different interpretation. The interpretation is hinged around the phrase of the same constituency, where the CI 127 states that we, the undersigned registered voters of Kumewu of the Kumewu constituency, do hereby nominate Kwesi Amankwa of the same constituency. They interpret that to mean that if it's of the same constituency, then that must also apply to the registration to vote, and the registration to vote must come and must be anchored in that same constituency. That is the interpretation.
Yeah, so as I said, if that were to be the case, then that one will be contradicting the constitution. Because the constitution constitution says that you should be a Ghanaian at least 21 years and you should be a registered voter. Right? That is the constitution.
It doesn't state
that you should be registered voter.
Which constituency you must be registered.
But where he wants to talk about constitution, that goes to the B. And the B says that in addition to having the three I've mentioned, you should be either residing in the constituency, hailing from the constituency, or should have resided in the constituency that you are seeking to contest. So that it's clearly stated in the constitution. So if that is the interpretation, that is contradicting the constitution. But here, if you look at what is there, it doesn't say that the candidate should be a registered voter in the constituency. So
your interpretation of this is when it says of the same constituency, it's talking about the fact that the person hails from there, just like the people nominating him. That's your interpretation of it.
Yes. So what we're saying that, like before we started, I made a statement that we, the students of Evans Academy, do support the nomination of Professor Mensah for vice chancellorship. Assuming we make that statement, does it mean that Professor Mensah is a student?
No, not necessarily.
So this is really so. So we, the registered voters, so he's talking of those who are sponsoring the candidate, and they are the people who they are saying that those people should be registered voters in the constituency. So to me, I believe that this is not law. This is clear English. This is not law. Because we, the students of this place, support them of the same school. It does not mean that the teacher we are supporting should also be a student. Because if the law wants the person to be a student, to have mentioned that we want to support the nomination of Kofi Mensah, who is also a registered voter in the constituency. But instead of the same constituency, that the person is affiliated to the constituency. And the constitution has said it already, that if you want to contest in the constituency, then you should be a resident of the constituency. You should be hailing from the constituency, or you should have resided in the constituency. So that clause is telling you that the person has a link with the constituency. That's why they are supporting this.
The group of people who nominate a candidate, this is clear, they must be registered voters themselves.
And they are 20. That's what I say we. They are 20.
And they must be registered voters in that constituency.
Exactly.
Must they also hail from that constituency?
If you look at the law about registration,
yes.
if you hail from a place, it doesn't qualify you to register. For you to register, you should be a resident, ordinary resident of the police station you are registered.
Does this apply to those who nominate the forms?
That's when first you should be a registered voter. Meaning that those people are resident or ordinary resident in the constituency.
And they vote.
That's what they were registered. And once you are registered, you can vote. But the candidate one, it doesn't say that the candidate should be a registered voter in the constituency. The law doesn't say so.
I saw your statement on this, and you use some very strong words, that it's the interpretation is illogical, it is unreasonable, etc. Those are very, very strong words directed at Sammy Jemfi. Was that really necessary?
Oh, we are referring to somebody who is doing logic, and we are saying that the logic is not holding based on our understanding. So if you're saying logical, it's not an insult, but you're saying that logically it doesn't move the way that if you say that registered voters are supporting somebody, and so because of the person is registered, that's saying that the logic doesn't work. It doesn't hold. If you put the two together, that's not the meaning of it.
Have you held an IPAC meeting ahead of this?
No. But no, I'm not sure of it, but the district and the region are supposed to hold.
Okay. I mean, considering how, by-elections are so keenly contested and then pretty tense, possibly an IPAC meeting would have resolved this matter?
Oh, the Kumaru one we did it was the most peaceful by-election that I've ever seen. And there was RAPAC meeting, that's at the regional level, and there was DAPAC meeting at the district level. There was no IPAC at the national level because the game is on the ground there, not here.
There's a sense in the statement you issued that you believe that Sami Gyimfi himself, but also the party, the NDC, is out to get you without a necessary foundation and basis to back the allegations.
See, that is a challenge we have in this country. Most often than not, when a party is in opposition, Electoral Commission become the whipping boy. Any small issues, they will whip the Electoral Commission without any grounds. So if you look at the statement, we say that if they have any contrary view, they should provide. And I don't think there's any contrary view. So we are already putting across that they should stop attacking the commission when they have no grounds to attack the commission. Whether we like it or not, we are stakeholders in the game. The parties cannot do elections without the Electoral Commission. And the Electoral Commission too cannot conduct elections without the parties sponsoring candidates. So we are in it together. But the continuous attack and the rest doesn't help anybody. Recently, we did the election for the parliamentary and presidential and the rest. The law doesn't require us to supervise for them. It is not backed by any law. But when they came, we went and did it for them. And they were even praising us. So what has changed? So our concern is that if we are not saying that if you're doing something bad, you shouldn't talk of it. But when there's none, you don't smear us like that. So that's what we were trying to do.
Your relationship with the NDC, how would you describe it?
Very cordial.
Really?
Apart from the radio issues, the other time when we were doing the elections, the current chairman and they came and we had a nice meeting. They took a lot of pictures of the commission and the rest. When we meet and we are chatting, you won't believe that these are the people who are in the media complaining about each other. We are very cordial. Very, very cordial. We have very cordial relationship.
But
we are not enemies.
Cordial relationship in private, but enemies in public.
That is the problem. It's not I won't say that in public. It's one I don't know the way how to describe it. But in public, when we meet us, we talk, we chat. We do everything together. I wouldn't want to give examples. But some of us are even classmates, schoolmates, we do courses together and the rest. We meet and we talk about our school days and the rest. But when there's an issue that we discuss, at times for political reasons, they will just give it to you. But when they finish, I remember there was a time, I'm not referring to NDC. One of them went on air, I didn't listen. But it's like he attacked me. So one said, oh, and then we came out by an sense of politics and don't get offended.
So they called you to tell you that?
Yes. And just 3 days ago, just 3 days ago, a top person who didn't call me. Some of these things, they are normal things. So, but the person who doesn't understand, he sees you and sees you as an enemy of the party. That's what we want them to stop. Because you may say it without any bad intention, but somebody can read different interpretation to it. You're getting my point? So, and what we're saying is that if there are genuine concern, bring it up for discussion. For example, this issue about the illegal transfer on the, assuming you have the facts, you let us know though, this is what has come to our hand. Is it true? Then we'll provide the evidence for you. Right? What do we gain by transferring somebody who is qualified to contest? So what is the essence?
And I know the NDC, they've boycotted the IPAC meetings, and I know there was some conversations. In fact, there must be the Peace Council. I tried to negotiate a settlement of a sort. Do you know what has come of that?
Oh, I remember there was a team that went to the Peace Council. I was part of it. So when we went, what we told them was that we don't have any problem with them. And to the best of my knowledge, because I was there, it was after the 2020 elections that we called a meeting and they said that they don't accept the election results. So any meeting that has something to do with the 2020 election, they will not attend. Now, the meetings that we are subsequently holding, they have nothing to do with the 2020 election. So we were expecting that they would have come, and they have not come, but I believe they will come. Because like I said, we still meet them. I personally, now this new building, I've met them not less than 5 times about the elections, and then we meet. So why can we meet on your elections, but we can't meet in general elections?
What do you think is at the heart of this public animosity that we see play out between yourself and the NDC?
We don't have any problem with them, so maybe they will be able to answer the question. As long as the Electoral Commission is concerned.
But they clearly mistrust you.
That's what I'm saying. So they would have to give you the reason why they are mistrusting us. Because anytime we are holding a IPAC meeting, we send them letters. Anytime we finish the meeting, even though they did not attend, we send them copies of the minutes. When they are doing the election, they invite us. We meet, we call them, we meet, we agree on the guidelines, we go and we do the election for them. So if you have something against them, and as I said, the reason what they did, we didn't have any legal backing to go and do it, meaning that they can do that us. But they came to us. We could have said that this one, we are not bound by law, and we have problem with you, so we will not come. But we see that we are with them. They are still our stakeholders. So we went and did it for them, and they were happy the way we handled it. So the issue, to me, I don't think there's any issue.
On the form that you showed me, to quote, I saw it's Kwesi Mankwa, who's a NDC parliamentary candidate for the Kumawu by-elections. In your statement, you state that he was also not a registered voter in Kumawu. And
that's the evidence I have given you. If you look on it, look at his polling station, C11.
Yeah, but it's not stated here. It just says C11,
yes,
0406.
Let me explain to you. These are codes.
As his polling station number.
It's a code, so let me decode it for you.
Okay.
I'm not going to give all evidence. But when you see any ID card with an A, it means that the person is a registered voter in the Western region. Anybody you see with an ID card, polling station code with an A, means that the person is a registered voter in Western region. If it's a B, the person is a voter in Central region. And if it is a C, then the person is in Greater Accra. If it is in the D, then the person is a registered voter in Volta. E, Eastern. F, Ashanti. G, for Western North. It goes up to R. Right? So, without going to look for the polling station, immediately I see the C, tells me that he is a registered voter in Greater Accra. And Kumawu is not in the Greater Accra. So it tells you that he contested an election outside the region, he's a voter.
And your point of
so the point is in conformity with the law. The law said that you should be a registered voter. And I've said that we have 38,000 plus polling stations. The only thing you need to do is to be a registered voter in one of the 38, almost 39,000.
So you say he was a registered voter in Accra?
Yes.
But was a candidate in
Kumawu? Yes. So it means that he couldn't vote in Kumawu because he was not a voter there. But he could contest.
And he indeed stood in elections and couldn't vote for himself, but voted there.
Yes. And the law allows that.
And you raised that in your statement. You wanted to make the point that equalization?
No equalization, but you are just saying that what they are saying is different from what they themselves understand. Because they themselves, if they didn't know that you can be a voter in a different constituency and contest in another constituency, why would they free him? So meaning they know that you can be a voter in different constituency and contest another constituency. That's why they filed him and nobody complained because they are in line with the law. So it's not equalization, but that's what the law says.
Why do you feel the need to disclose that though?
No, we are just putting it forward for people to know that we believe that what they are saying may have different motive politically.
What motive do you reckon?
Oh no, politically, I wouldn't want to be politically. Politically, you can find a way of bringing your candidate down. It's possible, right?
Another candidate or your opponent?
No, your opponent down. Yes.
So you think this possibly may be a strategy to?
That is what I'm doing because
to attack the candidate that the MPP may put up.
That's my suspicion, because other than that, something you have done less than 1 month. If somebody is doing it, why would you say that one is illegal? You have done it less than 1 month. So I just brought the form for you to know that It is something that, and since 92, that is the law. Since 92, the most important, you should be a registered voter. That's all. So if for the general elections, not only because you have enough time, they will file and will allow them to transfer so they can vote for themselves. For by-election, because of the shortness of the time frame, they contest, but they are not able to vote for themselves. It's not something new. So I just wanted you to know that they themselves know that you can contest in a constituency, you are not a voter.
Away from the NDC and the EC love affair, the by-election in Asin North is expected to be keenly contested. Security is always an issue when you're going to by-election. You have Tripon area, but you also by-elections to count. Of course, Moon was largely peaceful. What's the security arrangements that you're making with the police and the security agencies ahead of this?
Before I answer that question, I want to use a platform to express the appreciation of the Commission to the IGP. For Kumawu, he was there in person, and I could count more than 150 motorbikes. So the place was flooded with the police and their facilities and the rest. That's why we read that the place was peaceful. And as I speak to you, I was in Western North over the weekend, and I met the regional commander. I don't know the rank, but he's called Tekujo. He's the regional commander there, and he's also a nice guy. And the assurance was that they are bringing no less than 800 police people there. So if you are bringing 800, the place has 99 police stations. So it means that one police station may have an average of about 8 police persons. So we are hoping that the security will be beefed up and we have peaceful election. The most important thing is that nobody should lose a strip of the hair, because we are going to vote for somebody. So we are already in contact with them, discussing the way the election could be conducted peacefully. And we also appeal to all stakeholders that they should go there, do the right things, they should do what they are supposed to do, so that you don't infringe on the law, so that you have an issue to do with the law after the by-election. It will not be in anybody's interest. An
important player in this will be the political parties themselves. Of course, you met the police, they give me assurances. Do you plan to meet the parties before?
I think I've said it already, that as part of the program, there will be a RIPAC meeting at the regional level, and there will be a DAPAC meeting at the district level. I have the timetable, but I don't have it now with me. So they will meet them. There's no way we can have an election without
meeting the parties to try and get all of you on the same page on this going into the by-election. That is Dr. Sribo Kwaku. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, we'll talk about the Jachikwesin verdict. And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Extra. We've talked about a host of things looking forward to the Asin North by-election. Let's look at the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment that created the necessity for a by-election. This Asin North by-election would not have happened had not been that Supreme Court judgment. And so let's talk about it. And I'm talking about the Supreme Court judgment on the Jachikwesin case. It expunged his name from Parliament and assumed that he was not elected in the first place. Well, he is standing again and he will run in this particular election because the NDC have put him up again. But there are fundamental issues in the judgment that civil society organizations have said should trigger some reforms. Dr. Sribo Kwaku, one of those has to do with the verification that the Electoral Commission does or otherwise when it comes to the filling of the nomination forms by the aspirants. The Supreme Court questioned why you cleared Jachikwesin to run in 2020 when he did not show you a renunciation certificate. I'm pretty sure you've seen that part of the judgment. What's your view on it?
So, Evans, the issue is that the Constitution has spelled out the requirements for a candidate, and they are captured in the statutory declaration in the CI, and the person takes an oath before somebody in the court. Because once the person goes to the court and swear a declaration that if you would, you can read that one too for me, the statutory declaration. No, if you can take this one.
Okay, which page is this?
Let me open it for you. You've seen it.
And this is a statutory declaration
yes.
that spells out in essence, extracts from the Constitution.
Exactly.
The requirements that you need.
Yes.
And then there are a host of them, so obviously can't read all. One that I am a citizen, and you put your name there, you solemnly and sincerely declare that you are a citizen of Ghana by birth, you've attained the age of 21 years and above, you're a registered voter, I do not owe allegiance to any country other than Ghana.
Then there's another one about taxes.
And of course, that you've paid your taxes and you've made arrangements to do so.
So if you open the last page,
and I see that this is stamped by the Circuit Court, the register of the Circuit Court, and this is the Nkumasi.
Yes. So these are all done as a way of ensuring that the person knows the implication of having something contrary.
And to be clear, these declarations are directly taken from the Constitution.
Yes. Because
it's constitutionally prescribed requirements.
Yes. So that is exactly what happens. So see, if we want, for example, let's talk of the by-election that we are going to hold. We are finishing nomination on the 14th. The election will be on the 27th. So we are talking of approximately 13 days. If you want to go and investigate whether the person pays tax, it takes some time. Whether the person is doesn't owe any allegiance to another country, that means that you have to go to immigration, you have to maybe contact your informant, whether the person has stayed that one. So before you finish, then you don't even have the election. If you take the one in reference, if it went to court, I think in 2020 or 2021, and you are in 2023, it has taken almost 3 years. So that means that we will not be holding elections and be waiting. So then in the wisdom of the Electoral Commission, let us make it a statutory declaration so that you swear an oath on it. So that in case there's something contrary, then the law will catch up with you.
This is the CI 127.
Yes.
This was in 2020.
Yes.
This was in 2020.
Yes, that is the CI was passed. The CI was passed. No, it's one of our. This one came in when we introduced the biometrics.
Yeah.
So anytime you change anything in the law, you have to come out with a new CI. So we started with CI 5 in 95. We came to CI 15 in 2012 was CI 12. CI 12, yes, 5. Then we came to CI 15. We came to CI 91. Sorry, CI 94. Then we have the CI 127. So now, right now we are revising, doing some reform. We come out another CI.
But on the back
but the main content will be the same. But it will reflect the reform that you have
the changes that you've done.
Exactly.
The one change, one reform that has been pushed in the back of the judgment is that beyond asking them to sign to this declaration, you should verify that what they've actually signed to is actually the case.
That's what I'm saying. That is the challenge.
But what's the challenge? You have state institutions that will do that on your behalf.
No, that's what I give it. The Jachike case, the state will go in the court, and it has taken 3 years.
So, for example, you have a form then that will be amended to say, if you are a dual citizenship and you renounce, produce it. Yes, you say I commit and I declare that I'm not holding allegiance.
Yes,
because
so
and then you produce it. On taxes, you produce your
files. What we're saying is on condition that somebody tells you that because that cross there, I don't owe any allegiance, should tell you that once you sign there, you are saying you don't owe any.
So you are trusting that the person, him or herself,
because you are sworn before a court. It's not just by mouth. The person has taken an oath before the court. Because if the person has a dual citizenship and he doesn't tell you, he says that I don't owe any allegiance, how will you know?
But that's why you have to verify.
How you are going to verify from where?
But
So,
the state agencies will help you.
We have 275 constituencies, multiplied by maybe average of 4. So it means that you have to first look for whether they hail from the place, whether they are resident, whether they have resided, whether they have paid taxes, whether they owe allegiance, whether they have traveled outside the country, whether they go. And if you have to do all these things, and you can only do them after nomination. And the law is clear for parliamentary. When you do the nomination, you don't have more than 3 months. So can you use 3 months to do that? And all the 3 months is also for you to be able to print the ballot papers and the rest. So if care is not taken, that means that you need to do nomination for 1 year ahead of elections. You are getting my point. That's why we are believing that the person is going. So the issue is that we should respect the system. Because if you go to court.
You mean aspirants?
Yeah, exactly so. Because if you go to court and you go and say that I've paid my taxes, after the taxes, we will ask you to bring your tax clearance certificate. Even there, we have to send it to people. Now, this I will send it to the GRA for them to validate it.
So for the taxes requirement, you ask for the tax clearance certificate.
And when they, people say we're not doing that. But in 2020, when they were brought, we sent them to the GRA for them to validate. You understand? So something that you clearly you have control over, you can work on that. But like I was saying, if the person comes to you, you know that you have stayed outside the country before.
Yes.
So if I don't know, how would I even know that you have stayed in the country? Then you come and sign the document that you don't owe any allegiance to any other country. How would I know that you acquired dual citizenship and whether you have renounced it or not?
So you're saying it is impossible for the EC to verify the situation with a person
unless you have information. Because other than that, we have to investigate all the candidates. In that case, we do not have enough time to do that.
So the EC categorically cannot verify?
No, when it comes to that, we'll verify.
That is if you have information?
Exactly. But other than that, we want to trust your oath before the court.
So going into 2024, there'll be no reforms in this area?
Oh, there are a lot of reforms that we have proposed, but we are discussing. That one of it is for us to close at 3 o'clock. Because we realize that most of the elections, by 1 o'clock, we are almost done. And people do a lot of things under cover of darkness. So we are thinking that even if you have to reduce the number of voters per polling station down again, people say we need to have about 2,000 per polling station. In 2020, the maximum was 749. But if you can even bring that one down again, so that we can close around 3 o'clock, we can finish the counting and almost complete the collation in the daytime. Because darkness is associated with a lot of illegalities. And
Which other proposals are you putting forward for 2024?
A lot of them. We are also thinking of giving rebate to female candidates and people with disability.
Some form of affirmative action of a sort for them.
Exactly.
You charge them less
Exactly.
For the nomination form and filing.
That is what we are doing. I didn't know we were going to discuss that, but I think we have about 15 or so proposals that we are talking about.
Okay, so this was a process for making the reforms.
Some of the reforms may need legislative backing. So we may have to revise the CI. Some of them are just administrative. So we can, for example, the female one is more of administrative because the commission that determines, so the deposit to be determined by the Electoral Commission. So the Electoral Commission can determine. We can put in the CI or we can also use administrative procedure. But if the timing for the voting, that one is a legal issue. So you have to change the law.
And of course, in terms of the issues with the verification and etc., what role do you think the political parties themselves can play?
They also do vetting.
Yes.
So the question is, are they also doing it? Because they need it more than us. They need more than us in the sense that, for example, if you take the Judge one, for example, if we were able to detect it and maybe we were able to disqualify him before the election, it would have meant that NDC wouldn't have had candidate there. That would have been the implication. So once you file the nomination and you are more than 3, if one person is disqualified, the voting will go ahead. So you will lose that seat for them. So they also have a responsibility to do proper vetting.
2024.
And they will know their candidate than the Electoral Commission. Because they are those who are nominating somebody and sponsoring the person. So they will know their candidate more than the Electoral Commission will know. Now, because you're only bringing the person to us. But you are saying the person is your a party person. So you should know the person more than us.
So the parties possibly have a bigger responsibility.
Because
in the verification process.
I was saying that if the question one, if the commission had gotten the facts and maybe there might have been judgment like this, that means that it would have been disqualified before the voting. And once nomination is closed, once you are disqualified, you cannot bring new candidate. So they are bigger losers than the Electoral Commission. I
mean, 2024 is just a little over a year away. The EC have said that as far as the registration is concerned going forward, you are working towards a situation where you don't have to do registration anymore, and this will be a cycle, a normal recurring issue.
No, we have not said that. I mean, why we say that we will not do mass registration, but we do continuous.
That's what I mean, continuous registration. That's what you're working towards.
Yes.
So it becomes a constant, naturally recurring.
Updating.
Anytime you're ready, you can go.
Exactly.
That is the subject of some controversy still.
With respect to the CI.
Exactly, the CI. What's the update on that?
I think Parliament resumed yesterday. And today we are already there, going there to discuss the issue. So we are hoping that we'll be able to lay, and once we lay, the process will go through, and once it is passed, then we can continue with the registration.
You know, the NDC side in Parliament, they've said this is not something they can support because of the sole use of the Ghana card.
And anything can happen. We are going.
And then, of course, before the break, there was some consensus around that. Even the minority side, the majority side, seemed to come around to the suggestion that you should add one more document. I'm pretty sure you recall that.
We are back from Easter, so there could be change of mind. So my bosses are even there today. So let's wait for.
But the bonus of the EC's position still now is that the Ghana card should be the sole document.
Exactly so. We have not changed our position because of the reasons that we have given.
But for the avoidance of doubt, why do you still insist, considering that even in Parliament, the positions are shifting?
We are insisting,
and consensus is building.
We are insisting that we should use the Ghana card so that we're able to reduce the possibility of underage people registering and foreigners coming into our system. Because other than that, it takes a lot of effort before you can clean them from the system. And I believe that the register is for Ghanaians. It is not an international register. So anything that we can do to, I will not say to eliminate, but drastically reduce the possibility of foreigners being captured on our register, everybody should give us the support. And if the law is clear that it should be 18 years before you register to vote. So in a situation where people are 18 years, under 18, less than 18, 15 and the rest, and people are vouching for them that they are 18, once you use the Ghana card, you'll be able to dominate. The reason why we have confidence in the Ghana card is that if you are 15 years, for instance, and you go and acquire the Ghana card as 18, you have inflated your years by 3 years. So what it will mean is that, while you'll be retiring at the age of 57 in natural sense, because you inflated by 3, your other colleagues will be in the job. So any reasonable person will see that there's danger for me if I try to inflate my age. But for the guarantor, the person just goes there, fills the form, and he's gone. And maybe in 10 years, 20 years time, there will be new register. The person can go and change.
Then you have a challenge, because now you don't only have to convince the NDC, you also now have to convince the MPP side.
I believe that after the Easter, things are going to change.
I see. That is Dr. Cyril Kwaku. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on PM Express. And all the best with SN North.
My advice to listeners, Ghanaians, is that nobody should lose the stripe of the hair because of an election. Election is to just go there and use your fingerprint or thumbprint to decide on the person you want to be your leader. And another person too has a fingerprint which is different from yours. So he may also use it differently. I don't know, they put everything together cumulatively. The one with the highest is the one that people have chosen. This one should not bring any conflict. This one should not bring any fight. Nobody should lose their life about it. It is an embarrassing situation. If you go outside, and when I was with you in Kenya, look at the way the Kenyans were hailing Ghana's electoral process.
True.
So when these things crop up, it becomes an issue that the Ghana that we are seeing as a role model. And when we finished the voting in 2020, the European Union, they said they've given us 95% thumbs up for our election. 95. So we asked, why not 100%? And there's but for the variant issues that cropped up. By that time, we have not even heard of the death and the rest. There's some variant issues that cropped. That's why they didn't give us 100. And for you to be given 95% by European Union, it tells you the confidence they have in the system. So we should not destroy our country because of election. Because our choice, and the most important thing that whether you die or not, the results will be declared.
That's super good. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.